Good morning, good evening. Assalamu alaikum, namaste to all. Welcome to Knowledge Management Awareness Week, Day 8. It's such an exciting moment for me that I've been able to record each of the segments every day and edit it and also share it online. It has been a great learning experience. Thank you so much and for all the support and immense encouragement I've been getting. And also I'm delighted to receive various questions. And one good news is you will soon hear a masterclass from me coming next month on the whole ISO 30401 for interested participants. Please do contact me. Now today's topic is very important for me in terms of to summarize our whole journey of this last 7 days of everyday video bites. And so we saw that we learned that knowledge management approaches in terms of you would look at macro knowledge management. This is for from the perspective of a nation countrywide knowledge management policies which can be defined at that level. We also see how knowledge management could impact academics, organization, enterprises, startups. We could also see governments, how they can implement knowledge management practices. Of course, federal, state, regional states, they could all percolate to that level. Again, they could start again with their structure. Again, international, internation actually, because in this pandemic, one of the important lessons is that we need to share important learning between the countries for human welfare. That is also the prime importance. At that one level, you have a macro knowledge management, which is much at a higher level, where a knowledge worker may not have much to say, but there's a lot more to contribute, and but indirectly, every knowledge worker has so much to give, so much to do in terms of standalone knowledge management mechanisms and systems and structures. Let's say, as we've already discussed, if you're head of business unit, you could still go ahead and influence your team and business project teams to develop knowledge management needed within that unit. Formally, yeah, of course, it can be done. Project, if it is a small project or mini projects, there are few people, more than more than any team which is more than 2-3 people can be done in that small team, and nobody would. The organization, again, as I mentioned, it looks from the enterprise level, but my suggestion and my invitation to every knowledge manager, whether you are a product manager, whether you're a process manager, whether you're an architect, whether you're a technical lead, whether you are any role, I think we should start looking at the knowledge management as one of the serious focus area in your business areas too. Yeah, whether it is programs, teams, functions, communities. Yes, this is some of the important on the ground knowledge management requirements which you can fulfill. This, when incorporated at the larger scale and micromanagement, and it is the effect increases much deeper and much higher. Then one of the call for action for the audience who are looking at this is, if you are in terms of government and public policymakers, it is important KM can generate a huge economy for the country, for the nations, for the states, because every organization, if they are making policies, every organization at least they start to with one full-time KM focused employee. So there are at least minimum some thousands of organizations. It would create a huge KM roles, whether it could be part-time or it could be with the freshers, with the graduates, etc. We already saw how what are the different roles which can get generated out of these things, right? That is one. And let's say every institute and government public policy, uh, as an institute and as an organization, the competitive edge and the productivity and effectiveness increases. At the same time, you would also be setting precedents in terms of creating new uh, avenue of economy that I'm going to touch upon in next few minutes. At the same time, I would also call upon all CEOs and CXOs or management position who are in a position of decision maker in an organization, committee members. It is essential that in this pandemic, knowledge management is not an option. I would encourage to discover and take this path of knowledge formal KM and enhance employee knowledge experience, which is very critical if organization has to become resilient. So even if one organization has one person in the enterprise, there could be multiple part-time jobs at every function level or every business unit level or every project service lines. So there's a huge number of people who these principles could be taught to them, and they could in turn work for upliftment of organization resilience. So KM as a formal function, I request and I invite all the organizational heads to start thinking in that horizon. And in this pandemic, it is a must. That's my view. And it is also as a knowledge worker, if I'm working in any of the departments or functions, if I need to really be efficient and effective and collaborative among my peers, I think it is very essential that these roles or decision makers again look at each of the organization, look at as at least half how I mean one full-time employee or part-time full-time employee to start with, and to really define knowledge management. And you could also take support of ISO 30401 for quicker adaptation of knowledge management principles. Now, when we say ISO standard, if management assumes that ISO standard, if you apply, you're going to get answers. Sorry, before even you start thinking about ISO, you need to start building KM systems. Again, game systems, I think I've already covered in my previous chapters or previous videos that knowledge management systems are completely in its own holistically. You need to look at the knowledge needs in the knowledge domain. Okay, and when it comes to workers, employees, contractors, vendors who are doing day-to-day transaction, putting out the output, deliverables, outcomes, products, services, etc. Always look at how you could contribute in standalone game. If you are in a position, if there's a strong urge where there is a need for game, please go ahead and work with your manager and with your team members and start building your first game systems wherever you are. And also, once you build the systems, you could always go back to management and really showcase the kind of value it is being generated, so that it can be shared across the organization. Same applies for the managers, leads, etc. That they start within their micro teams and teams or projects, and showcase some of the benefits out of knowledge management principles. Um, so I think with this, we as a knowledge management community, we also need to share a lot of good practices and a lot of insights of knowledge management principles to any audience who are interested to kickstart KM practices, support them, handhold them. It is essential. And any institutes, government, public policy makers, CEOs, CXO managers, you could always contact your local geographically located knowledge management gurus or consultants, trainers, so that they could also help you in defining and strategizing your own knowledge management related requirements, which is essentially important. The reason I want them to support, or you should take some initial support, is to get some handholding and scaffolding, so that you cut down your you cut down the learning curve and take the best practices and start implementing what works for your organizations, whether it is startup, small organization, large organization. It is again up to you, right? This is my humble request. Now the next is, the moment the policymakers start making one policy change at the national level, or an organization, one leader who supports and sponsors knowledge management, formal knowledge management, right? If this happens, in number of frequently with various organizations in various industries, I think there would definitely be shootouts of very good game economy around this knowledge management field. There would be need for knowledge management standards training. There will be needs for knowledge management training and other related services. There will be game consulting services needed. Game products would come out of these things, which there are plenty already in the market. Again, there came services which might we could get generated out of this. Again, innovation is a key. So innovation is a product which is an outcome of having a very great knowledge management ecosystem where sharing, collaboration happens naturally. So when that happens, I'm sure jobs would be created. It would enhance organizational effectiveness. It would cut down a lot of redundancy across organization, between industries, sharing between the academic and industries. So I welcome every knowledge worker in this pandemic to really think from knowledge management perspective, stand in that place and look what does the organization employee need in terms of what is their knowledge challenge. When it comes to onboarding them, when it comes to they becoming more productive and learning various skills to dealing with challenging challenges and dealing with the business growth of the business, or development of new products, or simulating the market and needs, and fulfilling clients' needs and wants to the best of their ability, and giving feedback to the organization with the lessons learned mechanisms, having a mentorship and grooming the whole knowledge sharing collaborations with the advent of community of practices, etc. It would really create that ecosystem which is essential to breed innovation. With that, I want to sincerely thank each and everyone who's supporting greatly in this moment. Knowledge management as a principle, knowledge management as a standard, knowledge management as a practice. It is our duty as a knowledge management practitioners to talk about it more, to talk this to our peers, right? It is important that if I have friends in CEOs, I speak about KM and sell this idea to them, and it's their decision to take the next step, whether they're interested or not. Similarly, if I'm a friend with a project manager, they could always look at how they can really use lessons learned systems and various other aspects of KM principles wherever they are. So it is essential for us to come together and share this message more often, every time, at this moment. With this message, I want to thank again the audience who are going to view, who have already viewed, who are going to view in future. I hope this series would have a small impact, a small contribution Me as a knowledge passionate about knowledge management professional is a small contribution again. I hope the students get to learn. I hope more and more organizations start adopting knowledge management as a formal way of doing things in the organization. With this small message, I want to end this conversation. Thanks a lot. I will come back with more information on masterclass about ISO 30401. Thank you so much.